Companion is directed by Drew Hancock, starring Jack Quaid, Sophie Thatcher, and Lucas Gage. Wow. This movie, I think, totally came out of left field. I saw the trailer for this and I didn't really think it looked that good. They didn't show a lot of it in the trailer. You can kind of piece together a little bit about what's going on. I think that was a very wise decision. This movie was fantastic. Audiences and critics are both really liking this movie. The scores, Rotten Tomatoes for both are great. I was very impressed and surprised by how good and funny this movie was. It's really more of a black comedy. I think a lot of people don't really know what this movie is. They're seeing it. It's around Valentine's Day. It looks like it's some kind of rom-com thriller. Is it romance? And I think a little bit. It's not getting the tension or the attraction that it maybe deserves. But I think this movie is really, really good. I just don't think a lot of people really know what it's about. This movie is a thriller. It's a black comedy. It's funny. It's R-rated. There's violence. It is great. And the three main actors, their performances are phenomenal. Let's break it down some about the plot. So this movie, essentially, there is a billionaire that dies. I'm not going to spoil that or how or a lot of the main twists, which there are plenty of them that were very good and unexpected. I'm not going to spoil those, so this is going to be pretty much spoiler-free for the most part. There's a billionaire that dies. You see how that happens, and that happens pretty quickly. I really like this movie. Was paced very well. They got right into it. A lot of times you're waiting 60 to 90 minutes before things really get heavy, and then at the end there's the action, people die. This movie doesn't pull its punches. Right away stuff starts happening and it just doesn't stop. I really like the original take on trying to do something fresh and interesting with how they blended comedy into the whole robot AI thing. You know, that's been getting played out for a while. There's always new takes on it. Megan was something refreshing last year. They did a good job with that. And it was really nice to see the way they did this because they weren't overly reliant on it. They weren't just trying to use the fact that there's a robot or AI is the sole plot of the movie. It's what happens, how is everybody reacting to it? What are the other characters doing? And this movie really balanced all of those pretty well. Sophie Thatcher, I really think she is very quickly emerging as like one of the new modern it girls of horror. Loved her in Heretic. I'm not super familiar with a lot of her other stuff, but I thought she was phenomenal in Heretic. I really like her performance. I think she has very good range, the emotions and kind of the drama she's able to convey. And you're kind of rooting for her throughout the whole time of this movie. And if you see it, you'll see exactly what I mean. Lucas Gage, that guy kind of stole the show. For being a little bit more of a supporting actor, at least in the first half of the movie, he was incredible. He was hilarious. And the kind of different emotions and ways that he has to portray things, he did a very good job with that. In the movie, you see early on, he is dating another guy, and him and his boyfriend, I thought they were by far the funniest parts of this movie. The whole turn, everything that happens from start to end, they were great. In particular, there's a really funny thing I like the way the movie does a flashback scene, and it's showing the origin of a memory and how these two met. And there's a thing they do where they replay that, and there's some stuff that's switched, and they go back as a callback. And I really like that. I thought that was one of the funniest parts of the movie, especially when you're seeing it for the second time. The rhythm of this movie was really, really good. It didn't drag on. It was very fun and entertaining. I don't feel like any of it was slow. You're really seeing a lot of different stuff happen from start to finish that's holding, it's keeping your attention. The movie does a good job with that. In terms of twist, very unexpected. I think it's very rare that I'll find myself like pretty surprised or not really able to maybe suss out a couple of different ways a movie is going to go or the path it's going to take. This movie did a really good job at keeping everyone guessing. There's just so many things between the way it's paced, all the different stuff that's going on, not knowing what, how, or when is going to happen with any of the initial 4 or 5 characters you're introduced to who are all staying at this lake house of the billionaire. And between everything that's happening, the way it's unfolding, you just can't really piece what's going to happen. Even the ending, I thought they did a really good job with that, all things considered, and just kind of maybe knowing at the last act what's going to happen. But they still did a really good job with that. The comedy blended in with the violence, still being R-rated. The movie was pretty bloody. They had the satisfying amount of violence in there, but the comedy, it just really, it worked. This movie did a really good job with that. A lot of movies can just get unbalanced with that. They get too cheesy. They start doing a lot of the early 2000s Final Destination stuff, the comedy just doesn't land, and it just is very much to the detriment of the movie. And then all of the suspense or anything from the violence, it just gets flushed down the toilet. This movie did not have that problem, and I really want to commend the writer, who was also the director, and all of the actors' performances were very, very good. Movies like this don't come out that often, and when they're R-rated and they're good, they just don't make it that great. And a lot of times they just don't hit it out of the park. This movie really hit out of the park. If you're a fan of dark comedies, if you like thrillers, this is a good movie to go see on Valentine's Day. Take your significant other. It's a good movie to see. It's very entertaining. There's a lot of surprises in it, and it's a funny movie. That's going to do it for today. Have you seen this movie? What did you think about it? Stay tuned for more. Thanks.